Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. Today I have my first update to my homemade project pan that I thought of for this year. I call it Pan Your Book, and it is basically a project pan where you choose items depending on what book you are reading. So why did I decide to do this? Well, I said in my introduction, I will link my introduction down below if you're wondering, or if you want to see that first. We have a little doggo here if you hear anything. But basically, I think that we should promote reading a lot more. I am originally a teacher. I taught Swedish and English. I don't do that right now, but I have been working as teacher for many years. And the results, like looking at the kids today, the reading comprehension is just, going to crap. So I think that we should promote reading a lot more. We should, be visible readers. And I also wanted to keep myself accountable to remember to read and because I read in phases. So I read a lot and then I don't have the energy to read at all for months maybe, and then I read a lot again. So I wanted to keep myself accountable, to have a project where I'm forced to read, so that it's not embarrassing that I have the same book for many months. I want to do these updates monthly and talk about the books that I read. I also do have a shit ton of books because I love to buy books. And then I get into slumps when it comes to reading, so I have a lot of unread books in my bookshelves. I just need to get through them. I need to read these shelf warmers, as I like to call them. So that is the idea why I thought of this project. And as I said in my introduction, I'm thinking about rolling in 1 to 5 items each time, depending on, what inspiration I have. I started out with 3 items, and those were connected to this book by Cixin. Don't come for my Chinese pronunciation. This is the book The Dark Forest, which is the second book in his supernova trilogy, or was it Stories of Earth? I can't remember what the trilogy name was, but the first book is called The Three-Body Problem, and that will air on Netflix as a new TV show in March. So I did read that book, I think, last year. So I wanted to read this one before that TV show started. There is a third book as well that I'm going to read eventually. So this is The Dark Forest, and I said last time that I will probably have this book next update as well, because it is quite long. It is about 550 pages, and I had read about 70 when I did my first update. Love is on me, or just jokes on me, because I don't know if it was because I started this project, but I have read so much throughout January and now February. So I did not only finish this book, I finished 3 other books, and I have started on the next book for this project as well. But let's talk about this one, because I have 3 items corresponding to this book. So this is a science fiction novel, and it's called The Dark Forest. And it is in the first book, humanity come in contact with an alien species, and this alien species they have trouble living on their own planet, because their planet has 3 suns, and depending on where they are, it's very random how the suns appear on the sky. But the gravitational disaster from having 3 suns in your solar, or around your planet, is just a disaster. So that is why it's called the three-body problem. It's a problem. So that book ended when humanity realized that this alien species discovered Earth and realized that we only have one sun, so we have the perfect living conditions, and they decided to set their course for Earth to continue on with their species here, because this is a stable planet. So this book tangles the what happens to humanity, knowing that in 400 years we will be invaded by an alien species. What do we do? How do we prepare? The alien species also has technology that kind of infiltrated Earth and made our own technology or advances within physics halt. So they kind of made sure that our own development will not threaten their arrival, so to speak. So what do humanity do to kind of prepare for the aliens, because they will be here in 400 years, so like it's not within my generation. And I think that is a very interesting idea, because in a lot of science fiction movies and so on, like the alien invasion is tomorrow. It's not like, okay, we have 400 years to prepare, what do we do? So this one is like a lot of sociological theories and the different like ideologies. So people that think that, well, we're never going to we can't fight them because their technology, they are so superior to us. Like, what does defeatism do to humanity, or like to humankind? And how do we kind of keep on moving? Because scientists working to save humanity today will not probably be alive, or they can go into what is it called? Like, not hibernation. Well, they can freeze themselves and then like wake up many years, like 100 years later. But it's also like we need to do something now, because we can't just rely on like technology in 300 years. We need to develop technology so that it will work in 300 years. Really, really interesting. I love this book. It got weird. It got pretty weird, but I like this concept of the dark forest. I think is genius. It is a very interesting idea about life in the universe. Why do we think that we are alone? We're not alone. It's not just us and that other alien species. The probability of life being here and having developed a lot more than our own society, the probability is quite high that things are that way. So the title, The Dark Forest, is about the idea that the universe is like a dark forest, and there are hunters in this dark forest, and hunters meaning like different civilizations across the universe. So if you're a hunter in a dark forest, you're probably not wanting to get attention. You know that there are millions of other hunters in this dark forest. So what do you do? How do you ensure your own, that you will survive and be victorious? I think it's a very, very interesting concept. And yeah, I love this book. I'm looking forward to reading the next one. I won't do it quite yet, but this book spans a couple of 100 years. It kind of ends, I think, probably like 200 years from now or something. About 200 years in the future. I can highly recommend this book if you like science fiction, if you're interested in like sociology and things like that. I definitely would recommend this. Maybe you want to check out the TV show beforehand, because this book was not really what I thought, or this series has not been what I thought. So maybe that is something that you want to do. But yeah, you follow a lot of different points of views. For this book, like, we had 4 wall facers. selected a couple of very standout people to think about different ideas on how to win the coming battle against the Doomsday Battle, so to speak. Or they picked 3 standout people and then 1 random Chinese person, and of course it's that random Chinese person who was able to solve the issue, so to speak. So that is like, you have those points of views, but you also have other people that you follow along. So if you have issues reading books with many different points of views, maybe this is not for you. I find it very interesting, and yeah, it's just that you need to be a bit more vigilant if you're a Westerner like me to kind of follow along with all these, because obviously there are a lot of Chinese names and so on. But I really loved it. I would highly recommend. Super enjoyable. And yeah, that is this book. So let's talk about the items that I did choose for this book. So first off, I did pick 3 items. I picked this little eye dust, or it's like flakies, and this comes from the Pastel Roses, which is a UK-based indie brand, and I picked this because it's called Milky Way. There you go. And I just set the goal to use this 5 times because I really need to remember to use. I have a different shade of these as well, but I just need to remember to use them. It's quite fiddly because preferably I put on this before I do my base, and normally I don't work that way. I like to put on the base before I do my eyeshadow. But yeah, so I decided to use this 5 times, and I have used this 3 times as of now, so this one will remain in the project. I hopefully can use this 2 times. Shouldn't be an issue, I just need to remember. You will probably not be able to see a lot of change on this, but it is a very pretty, like very dimensional flakes. I don't really want to open it up because then I will have flakes everywhere. So that is one thing remaining in this project. I also picked oh yeah, of course, I picked this because Milky Way, the Trisolarian civilization, or like our ships are of course traveling to our Milky Way because they are going towards Earth. Then I chose my Kaleidos Solar Sailor highlighter. This I chose because of course, the name solar, the 3-body problem, or the entire reason why the Trisolarian civilization has to leave their planet is because of their solar issue or problem, the complete catastrophe occurring to their planet because of that. This is a really beautiful highlighter. It has a very like gold flip to it. Ignore this, it's from when I burnt myself adding some wood to the fire. And yeah, that is what it's looking like. It is super pretty. I wanted to use this one 20 times, and I have used it 20 times. I did not weigh this, but hopefully, looking at the like if you look at what it was before, you can see that it had some wear, and hopefully it looks a bit more used now. It should look more used. I was like trying to go for the imprint, but I'm not successful in removing it at all. It is a very bright highlighter, but it is super stunning. I do like these. The only thing that's bugging me is the bulky packaging. Then finally I chose to work on a shade from my Gloss Gods Gal on Mars palette, and I chose the shade Light Year to hit pan on because, of course, as I showed last time, this book is divided into chapters marking how far away the Trisolarian ship is. So let me see if I can find. So for example, at the end here, you see, distance of the Trisolarian fleet from the solar system, 2.07 light years. So they are like, each chapter shows how many light years away the fleet is. So I had somewhere on this one beforehand, but not that much. I also, when I enroll eyeshadows, I tend to reach for all of the shades in the palette, like no pan left behind style. And this is what the palette is looking like today. So you can see the shade Light Year there has a shiny pan. I reached for Light Year 16 times before hitting pan, so it did take some while. It is like a very pretty gold to pink. It is a bit darker than I initially thought, but there you can see that beautiful shade. And yeah, it was a really nice shade to work on. It worked so well with my Pandos eyeshadows shade, so I had no issue at all working on that one. So we are also rolling out that one, which means that I only have one item now in this project. Let me talk a bit about the different books that I read before telling you about the new book that I want to focus on. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you also, if you're wondering about my eye look, I have tested out the Titanium Fox's Poppy Storm palette, and I made this red look. This palette is stunning, really pretty. It's a new European-based indie brand. I think it's from the brand is from France, so that is what I'm wearing on my eyes, if you're wondering. So let me tell you about the other books that I read. So we have a book circle at my work, and the book that we read in January was this one, The Girl with All the Gifts. And I am so lucky to be able to have some time at work to read. So I was able to finish this one, even though it's quite long as well. This one is, I love these kinds of books. It's a dystopian novel, and it's about zombies, but you know, zombies like in The Last of Us, where it's actually a fungal invasion, or what do we say? So this one is also, you follow a few different points of views, but the main protagonist in this book is the little girl called Melanie, who is a child, the girl in the title, who is a test subject, or she is, when we first meet her as a reader, we meet her locked in at like a military base. She is a test subject because she and a bunch of other kids are actually infected with this zombie virus or fungal they are infected, but they have remained their like intellect. And Melanie, she is quite smart. She's a very smart kid. She's like the super test subject because she shows so much intelligence. So we read from her point of view, but also from like the scientists that's doing tests on the children, the teacher, Justin, who isn't actually a teacher, she's a psychologist, and from military people. And the story is like taking place when the military base that they are residing in is what do you call it? It falls apart. So I can't find the the words, but yeah. So they have to move in open country where there are so many hungries, and this takes place in England. And yeah, I do love these kinds of books. This was a very good book. Maybe not my favorite dystopian novel, but I think it was like you had some good ethical questions to think about. Like, is the scientist really the bad guy because we follow Melanie's perspective and we are being like, we sympathize with her, but we also, like, it's also understandable that humanity wants to find a cure for this disease, and they kind of don't see the children as children because they know that they are infected with this fungus. And so yeah, I did like it. Sometimes the actions of the characters felt a bit annoying and questionable, but overall it was a quick read, a fun read. I like these kinds of books. I also read this book, which has a Swedish title, Kanske är det längtan, maybe it's longing. And this is just a youth novel. The protagonist or the point of view is Viola, like Violet, and she has just moved to Stockholm, the Swedish capital, probably from Luleå, where I live, and how she's battling, moving along alone and being alone in the capital and not really trying to find her own grown-up identity, so to speak. So this is a love story. It was super quick to read. I read it mainly because of work, to see if this is something that might be of interest to our students. But it was a good young adult novel. I think especially for the students here, because they can probably very much relate. A lot of students, me, like, also, I was one of them when I was young. We wanted to move away from here because it's just cold and dark and miserable. Was the feeling. Then I remained here, so, jokes on me. So I also read that one. And then I read this book, The Vegetarian by Han Kang. She's a South Korean author, and she is actually going to be in Umeå, which is a city 3 hours from where I live. And we are going with work to a literary fair, to a book fair. And she will attend that book fair. So I thought, perfect, I can read this book. I have another one from her as well. I will see if I have time to read that one before I attend the fair. It's in March. So this one was very strange. It's about a woman... I can't remember her name now. She decides to become a vegetarian. So you read some parts of the book from her point of view, but otherwise you read it from people in her close... people that are close to her. So the first chapter is from her very, very not likable husband, and how he deals with her decision to become a vegetarian. And then you read it from her sister's husband, and then from her sister. And it was very strange. It was very dark in the beginning because she decided to go vegetarian because of a dream, and her husband was just so unsupportive and very, very horrible towards her. He like raped her, and just not supportive at all. It was very, very dark and horrible to read. And then, like, suddenly it became a lot of it became so sexual when you read it from her sister's husband's point of view, and it was just like, whoa, okay, what's happening here? And then from the sister's point of view, it's not just wanting to become a vegetarian. She is the protagonist, or the main character, is clearly mentally ill, because it's not just, switching what you eat. She doesn't eat at all, and she becomes really, really affected by this. She has nightmares, reoccurring nightmares, and she is not well. So it's not just about a South Korean wanting to eat a planetary diet. That's not what this is. So it was not what I expected at all, and I did like it, but the ending felt a bit abrupt. It's a very short book, so I read it quite quickly. But yeah, it was. I felt like the ending was unresolved. It was like, oh, okay, maybe it's just this, and then the end. So, I will see if I have time to read the other book that I have from her as well. But now I am at least feel a bit prepared for when she will be here, or at the book fair. Okay, so let's talk about the next book, and this is the book that I will have now in my project. So, after reading like these heavy. Like the science fiction book and the vegetarian, which was a bit of a mindfuck, I wanted to read something a bit more straight on, like entertainment. So I chose The Silent Patient. This one has been on the Book Talk, like trending on Book Talk last year, I think it was, and it's been in my bookshelf. So this one is a thriller. It's about the character Alicia Berenson, who is an artist and who seemingly lived a perfectly happy life, and then she killed her husband. And the point of view is actually from her psychiatrist or psychotherapist. And you read some extracts from her diary throughout also, but it's told in the point of view of her psychotherapist. Now I can't. Yeah, Theo Faber. So I have read quite far. Do we love my little Pitou bookmark? And it's very enjoyable. I must say it's a page turner. It was a long time ago since I read a thriller, I feel like. So it's good to change it up a bit. It is somewhat, I feel like, the relationships or like the actions of some people in this book, like people at Theo's work. He works at this place called the Grove, where people with different like Alicia killers or other people with severe psychological issues are being treated. Some people there, I feel like adults don't behave like this, do they? Maybe it's just me and my little bubble, but yeah, it's. I feel like some of the actions from people is quite immature. Anyways, it is written by Alex Michaelides. I think he's Greek, and it also takes place in England. And it's enjoyable. I do really like it. So let's talk about the items that I'm rolling in for this book. First off, I am rolling in the blush that I am wearing today. So this is a blush from Colorpop. It's their Alice in Wonderland blush. And the reason I'm rolling this one in is because it is in the shade Silence! Which is perfect because, oh my god, I didn't even tell you. The name of the title is, after Alicia killed her husband Gabriel, the didn't say a single word, and she has remained silent. So Theo's like main quest, so to speak, is to get her to talk again, to treat her so that she can tell the real story about what happened, why she killed her husband, and so on. So that is why it's called The Silent Patient. It also says, only she knows what happened, only I can make her speak, as like a little, what do we say? Attention grabber. English, yeah, can't really find the words. So, the blush called Silence is of course perfect for for this book, and it's this very, very bright red color. I do really enjoy it. It is the only, like, no, I have another one, but like I don't have many red blushes in my collection. So we are rolling in Silence to this book. I'm also going to roll in my lipstick from Lime Crime. This is in the shade Wicked, and Alicia Berenson is, of course, according to many people, a wicked person. Theo thinks that she is not, but many people think, many people think that she, having killed her husband, she is a psychopath. She is just so unwell. This is a dark, dark red shade. So I just want to make sure that I use this. And my thing is, do I roll it in for 5 uses or 10 uses? It's not a big deal if I have this in for a long time. I'm gonna roll it in for 7 uses. So in the middle. Yeah, I want to use Wicked 7 times. And then finally I have an eyeshadow palette again. This is from Lime Crime, and it's their Prelude Chroma eyeshadow palette. I roll this in for 2 reasons. One is because I think that it's, if I remember correctly, Alicia is a redhead, and this naked character here is also, of course, a redhead. It is also like part of their Lime Crime's eyeshadows are always like connected to Greek mythology and so on, and this is the prelude to our goddess Venus. In this book, Alicia, being an artist, she paints her final picture after she has killed Gabriel, and she names that picture, I think it was Alcestis, which is from a Greek mythology. And it is like trying to figure out why did she choose this character. Now I don't have Alcestis. I don't have anything about her, but I do have like this, which alludes to Venus. So I'm thinking that I'm going to actually, I'm going to do like no pan left behind on this. And I think I am going to try and hit pan on one of the shades. I think maybe Genesis would be fitting, because it's like a Genesis story. Maybe Triumph, depending on how the book ends. Triumph will be the easiest one to hit pan on, because it's just like a highlighter in a corner shade. Genesis is this very, very dark gray blue shade. So I don't even know if you can see Triumph there. It is there, and that is Genesis. I will have to figure it out, but I am also going to have no pan left behind. So after I have used all of the shades, I will decide which one will be perfect. Eros might be good also, because Eros is like love, is it not? And this is obviously a story about love. It's this golden shade. I will play around with it and see what shade I choose, but that is it. Those are the 3 items that I will be rolling in. The blush called Silence, the lipstick Wicked, which is also fittingly like a blood red, and the painting that Alicia does of herself after she has killed her husband. It's a question about, is this oil paint or is this blood? Has she painted with her husband's blood? No one knows. And then, of course, I will use this eyeshadow palette and try and hit pan on one of the shades. That is it for this update. Oh, yeah, sorry. And I will also be working on Milky Way to use that 2 more times. So, that is it for this update. I hope that you enjoyed this. Please let me know what you think about this project. Do you understand anything that I'm talking about? I feel like I'm blabbering and blabbering a lot. But, yeah, like, looking at the books I was able to read after creating this project, I feel so good about this. I feel happy that I'm doing this because for some reason, panning makeup in accordance with books has given me my joy of reading back. It is weird, I don't know. But yeah, that is it for this update. I hope that you are all doing well. Please say hi in the comments. I love to hear from you and hear your thoughts about this book makeup panning project. And hopefully I will see you in my next video as well. Bye guys!